come together.
Greetings, RC Bro here. Today we're going to do a short video on how to make your first purchase of your RC car. If you've been keeping up with the videos, my previous two videos were how to choose or select your first RC car. People have watched the videos and now they're ready to buy, and so now they want to know what are some of the best places to buy them and where have I purchased my cars. As we get started, I'd like to mention that now, as of June of 2024, this is an excellent time to make your first purchase of your RC car. That's because number one, the manufacturers are competing with each other to sell the most cars, and number two, the retailers are competing with each other to get the most sales. So that means better deals for us as consumers. For our purposes, we are focusing on the Chinese manufactured cars. That being because number one, their prices are very reasonable. Number two, they have a lot of options. And number three, the quality, in my opinion, for what you pay for or the price point is very good. The other cars, some of your name brand cars that are manufactured here and maybe some in Europe, those cars tend to be more expensive. They're very good quality, but they are very expensive and the parts are very expensive. So at this point, we're just going to focus on the Chinese cars. In terms of my purchases, I've made them all online. The only alternative is if you live in a major city, you may have a local hobby store or retailer. However, for most of us who don't live in big cities, and even in big cities, hobby stores are rare. So the only choice you really have if there's not a store nearby is to get it online. That being said, let's look at the major suppliers that are online. So we're going to look at some that you're familiar with and some that you may not be familiar with. We're going to look at number one, Amazon. Number two, we're going to look at eBay. And also we're going to look at some of their offshore competitors, AliExpress, which is Alibaba. We're going to look at Banggood, and we're going to look at Temu. So when getting that first RC, you want to remember several things. One, if it's your first car and if you're dealing with a child that's maybe I would say 10 or less, it's best to get a brushed RC or an RC with a brushed motor because they're easier to control. If you're getting it for an adolescent or a teenager, it may be a good investment to get the brushless motor because they're faster and the older child will have better ability to control it and won't get bored with it as quick. Also, you probably want to get a car that has what's called the 2S battery, not the 3S. The 2S battery is less voltage than the 3S, and that determines the speed of the car. Just about all 3S cars are very fast, and if you don't have experience, it's very easy to run it and run into something and damage it. So I suggest getting a car that says 2S on the battery. I'll do a video on batteries later on to talk about the difference between the 2S, the 3S, and the 4S batteries. Another thing is you want to get a car that is probably pretty popular. Let's see, if we look here, we'll see some of the cars where we are at Amazon.com, and you see all kinds of cars here that are obviously not hobby grade. So when you look at the cars, sometimes you can tell by the price. Even though this is a DRC car right here, it's a popular manufacturer, but at this price, I doubt seriously that it's hobby grade. And the way you can tell is when you look at the features, they generally show pictures of the chassis or the frame, and they talk about the motor and they talk about the battery. If they don't talk about those things in the cars, it's probably not hobby grade. Amazon.com. Everybody knows Amazon.com. Many of you probably have what's called a Prime account. That means you get a little discount on things and you get them faster. And so that's one of the pros of Amazon.com. Number one, more than likely you already have an account. And number two, Amazon is known for their fast delivery. So if you have Amazon, you can get a car on Amazon. That's the pros with Amazon. The cons with Amazon are they don't have as many options, or their selection is not as wide as some of the offshore suppliers. and their prices are actually just a little bit higher than some of the offshore ones. So that's something to consider when you're making your first purchase. So now we're going to move to eBay. eBay has many of the advantages that Amazon has. They have a fast turnaround, and they have competitive prices, but their prices I found to be maybe a little bit cheaper than Amazon in some cases for the cars, because you may have some sellers on there that have cars that are new, but they just want to move. They may have a limited batch of cars that they want to move, so you can catch some good deals. They also, because they're located in the US, you get your deliveries pretty fast, and they have a similar return policy to Amazon, but Amazon's actual return policy is actually better. Next, we're going to look at Banggood. Banggood, I've never heard of them until I started working with RC Cars. They are a offshore Chinese retailer that specializes in gadgets, electronics and mechanical gadgets. So basically what you do with them is you go online, set up an account, and they'll get your email address, and as a warning, they're very aggressive with the emails, but also it's very tempting because they have excellent prices on just about everything. So if you're not careful, you'll find yourself purchasing all kinds of things from Banggood, and especially cars. So the cars are very good price, but that's the pros with Banggood and the offshore Chinese resellers. The disadvantage is they're offshore and they're in China, so it can take 2 to 4 times as long for you to get your products from Banggood and the other offshore places. The other Chinese or offshore retailer is Alibaba, or the branch that we deal with is called AliExpress. They have, I think, the best prices between them and Temu. Their prices are very good, and they have a lot of sales, and so they specialize in their email and holiday sales. They cater toward the American market. So if you check your emails at different times, you'll see cars posted. You'll see new cars, and they have recent cars too, and you'll see they're discounted. And if you make a certain amount of purchases, they give you even deeper discounts. So they're definitely worth following. The other one is Temu. Temu is, I just recently started checking them out, and they're very aggressive with their prices as well. I can't comment on the selection at this point. I don't think it's quite as good as Banggood, but they have deep discounts, and they guarantee delivery at certain times. And if they're late with the delivery, they will pay you a difference, or pay you a compensation credit for being late. So they really are working hard to get your business.